So when I moved into this position, the Dutchess County position, representative's position, became open. So I want to introduce you to our newest council member, Grace Angela Henry, right here to my left. And she is a graduate of Tufts with a master's from Harvard. Angela brings a great breadth of experience. She currently serves as the executive director of the Poughkeepsie Public Schools Foundation. She's the first person in that position. She's also an executive search consultant for nonprofits, working with companies such as Phillips Oppenheim. And she is a noted actor and voice actor. So if you have not met Angela before, you've likely heard Angela before, since she's the voice for a number of the FDR Library and Wallace Center educational films, and also she did the Walkway Over the Hudson audio tour, among many, many others. So Angela's been on the board of a number of Hudson Valley nonprofits, including serving as chair of Arts Mid Hudson. So please join me in welcoming Angela to the council. Angela, would you like to say something?
Yes, thank you all. It's a pleasure and an honor to join you all. I am a trail person. I'm a river and waters person. I'm a parks person. I'm a conservation person and a preservation person. So I hope I didn't leave anything off the list, but it really is an honor to join you all. The work that has been done for the past 30 some odd years is so impressive, and so an honor to join you. Thank you.
So welcome to everyone, and I'm joined here by Betsy Jacks, who's representing the Conservancy. So,
you have people, we have to use the microphones there to keep those who won't hear us, as they're not hearing.
Yes, just since our wonderful chair is not here today, as the vice chair, I'll be conducting the meeting. So a pleasure.
okay.
And thank you. I don't know if you can hear me, but this is Kevin here.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm sorry that I can't be there in person, but the flu has gone through my household, and I thought it would be safer to be virtual. But I'm just so thrilled that Meg is in role now. And Betsy, thank you so much for stepping in to chair the meeting in my place today. I'm happy to be here virtually. But I just think we're off to a good start today, and I'm just happy that we're able to do this in this hybrid fashion. So thank you all.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so let's go around the room and just everybody, if you please introduce yourself. Sandy, we'll start with you. Thank you.
Sandy Gala, State Assemblywoman, and since I didn't run for office and I'm retiring, I had to send a resignation letter. So there will be a new person, hopefully representing the New York State Assembly meetings.
Okay, we'll have a little more about that in a moment. So thank you, Sandy.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Croft. I'm with Hudson River Boat and Yacht Club Association.
Good morning. I'm Jeannie Williams. I'm the executive director of the Feeder Canal Alliance and chair of the Champlain Canalway Trail, and I represent Saratoga County.
Good morning. My name is Damali Winter. I'm assistant commissioner with New York State's Department of Agriculture and Markets. I'm here as joint delegate on behalf of our commissioner, Richard Ball.
I'm Sarah Olson, and I'm the former superintendent way back of these FDR sites. And now
Bob Elliott, council board member.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Carlquist. I'm the executive director of Boscoville House and Gardens in Garrison, New York, and very thrilled to represent Putnam County on the council. Thank you.
I'm Wynn Aldridge. I'm the vice chair of the council as a governor's appointee, and I welcome you all today. It's been 3 years and 1 month since we last met in person, and it's been too long.
Hi, I'm Scott Keller. I'm the executive director, and yes, it has been too long, and I've gained too much weight in the intervening 3 years.
I'm Beth Campociaro. I'm the Trails Director with the Greenway National Heritage Area, and I'm taking the minutes. That's the only reason I'm sitting here.
I'm Vincent Altieri. I'm the director of the Rockland County Drainage Agency, and I'm here for the Rockland County Executive Ed Day.
We're still going.
Yeah, well, we will get to Zoom in just a moment with our folks there. So we'll just go around the room here and then we'll go to Zoom. Thank you. Jennifer.
I am Cindy Lanzetta, and I'm on the Conservancy, and I am a resident of Ulster County.
Hi, I'm Jane Daniels. I am a resident of Westchester County, but I am a governor appointee, and from back in 1998, and I've gone through 5 governors, which I hope I can continue. Scott assured me everything is okay.
Hi, I'm Linda Vonderheide. I'm the principal planner in Rensselaer County, and I'm the Rensselaer County representative on the council.
Okay, do we have a mic in the back there too? So wait, yeah, introduce yourself and then.
Hi, I'm Dan Jeanson, project director. Andy Beers, former director of the Empire State Trail and now project manager for the Albany Hudson Electric Trail.
I'm Kitty McCullough with Calvert Box Preservation Alliance.
Hi, I'm Diane Gintruff. I've written a couple grants for the town of Esopus and a few Hudson Valley tourism articles.
Good morning. I'm Priscilla Brendler, the executive director of Greater Hudson Heritage Network.
Good morning. I'm Elaine Hayes, executive. Hi, I'm Suzanne Clary, president of the J Heritage Center in Rye, New York.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amy Bracewell. I'm the superintendent here with the National Park Service at the home of FDR, the Vanderbilt Mansion, and Eleanor Roosevelt's house.
Good morning. My name is Cody Arana. I'm the event coordinator for the Hudson River Valley Greenway.
Hi, I'm Marcy Wagman. I'm president of the newly formed Houstonville and Wheeler Hill Community Association in the town of Wappinger.
Cordell Reeves, New York State Office of Park, Division for Historic Preservation.
Okay. And let's, at the table here, one more person before we go to Zoom.
Shannon Day, I'm the director of operations for Hudson River Valley Greenway.
Okay, now we can go to Zoom, and that's always a challenge to figure out how to.
Yeah, let me try it. Let me see if I can skate through this. Well, we heard from Vincent Altieri. Let's go to Kevin Burke next.
Yes, I spoke before. I'm Kevin Burke. I'm chair of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Conservancy, and sad that I'm not there in person, but very happy that we're.
Joanne Fernandez.
Good morning on behalf of the New York Department of State. A pleasure to meet you all virtually, and on a personal note, happy holidays to everyone.
Jane McLaughlin. You're on mute, Jane.
Good morning, everyone. Congratulations to Meg and welcome to Angela. I am the treasurer of the Greenway Conservancy, and I am also a member of the Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area Management Committee.
Thank you. Mary McNamara.
Good morning, Mary McNamara. I represent the Ulster County and am also on Ulster County Legislators Trails Committee with a particular interest in water trails, and I live in Saugerties, the home of Maurice Hinchy.
Matthew Schneid.
Hi, everyone. Matthew Schneider. I'm a council member from New York County. I do spend a lot of time on the trails and the downstate portion. I'm really happy to be here. Unfortunately, I couldn't meet you in person today, but hopefully I can get up.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lisa Weiss with New York State Department of Transportation. I'm representing Lance McMillan, our regional director, who is representing our commissioner. Sorry we couldn't be there in person, but we're happy to join you all today. We also have another DOT staff member with us, and he can introduce himself. That's Kyle Booser, one of our landscape architects in the region.
Go ahead, Kyle. And you're on mute.
Good morning, everybody. Kyle Buser. I'm a regional landscape architect with Region 8, New York State DOT, and here on behalf of Lance McMillan, the regional director, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
We have 3 people on the phone. Phone number beginning with 718.
Right. Good morning. It's Skip Piscatelli. I'm a council member, resident of Bronx County, appointed by the mayor of the state of New York.
Thank you. Phone number starting with 914. And you're on mute.
This is Stefan Yarabek, member of the Greenway Conservancy, National Heritage Area, chairman of the Town of Saugerties Historic Preservation Commission, and president of the Friends of Czech Greenway. Gratulujeme, Meg, and Vesele Vanota. Meg joined the sister city tour, or sister state tour of New York and the Czech Greenway a few years ago. Really proud of you, Meg.
And finally, the phone number beginning with 845. And you're on mute.
Am I still on mute?
Nope.
Okay. Hi, it's Linda Cooper, the joint delegate representing state parks on behalf of Commissioner Oracola Fade. Sorry I couldn't be with you today.
All right. Thank you very much. I would ask everyone on Zoom, we don't get any feedback here at the meeting. Thank you. Yeah.
Amy, I want to see if you wanted to come up and do the official welcome, which would be great from the National Park Service. We look forward to that.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here, and it's great to be able to meet in person. It's first time in 3+ years, so it's very exciting. We have been open and doing things throughout these last 3 years, as most of y'all have tried to figure out how to operate, and we have stayed busy and working with the Presidential Library and National Archives. We've been very creative in coming up with new ways to meet our visitors, both online, virtual content, outdoors, getting people outside and on the landscape, as well as creative inside programs as well. So we have been evolving and will continue to evolve this next year. Just a plug of what's on our horizon. 2023 is the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Eleanor Roosevelt helped draft that document with the United Nations, and it is 30 articles of human rights that should be entitled to everyone around that this next year. Another thing coming on the horizon in 2023, the National Park Service just finished a report on the Roosevelts and civil rights leaders of their time. And the Presidential Library's next exhibit opening in June will be Roosevelt's African-American history and civil rights. So we are really looking forward to leaning into these subjects, having special programming, authors, scholars come and discuss these topics as well. So we've got a lot of things coming for 23. And really looking forward to the discussions today with y'all. So thank you, welcome.
And I just want to note that one of those scholars involved is our Kevin Burke for that exhibit coming here. So if everyone please stand now and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Scott? Yep. Okay. We're officially called to order now, and we're going to get started, and Scott will explain what we're doing next. Right.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. The first item on the agenda, well, it's the fourth item on the agenda, but the first item after the official call to order is the adoption of hybrid open meeting resolution and procedures. With the expiration in June of the executive orders authorizing remote-only public meetings, we are no longer allowed to hold these kinds of meetings. The open meetings law, however, has been revised to allow a hybrid in-person remote meeting in extraordinary circumstances, which are somewhat broadly defined. They include, but are not limited to, disability, illness, caregiving responsibilities, or any other significant or unexpected factor or event which precludes the members' physical attendance at such meeting. In order to hold a hybrid meeting, we must adopt the resolution and procedures that were included in your packet. These are based on models provided to us by the state. This will be a vote for both members, or both board members, all board members. And they will be adopted retroactively to the start of this meeting, either board.
Okay, so either board, a motion? Bob Ellie? And second? Jane. Right, Jane. Okay, good. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Good. Right.
Okay. Thank you. The motion was made by Bob Elliott and the second was by Jane Daniels, for those of you on the Zoom call who may not have heard. Next, I want to introduce two of our staff who are going to provide a grants program presentation to you. With the appointment of a number of new members to the boards, we've been trying to do a bit of Greenway 101 at every meeting for the last year or so. This meeting, we will review our grants programs and talk a little bit about how we, about our new online grants platform. As you are aware, our legislation sets forth the process by which we award grants. Our grants committee reviews and recommends to the boards which applications should be funded. The boards vote on those recommendations at these meetings. Along with Shannon Day, who's sitting at the table and running the Zoom meeting, Beth Campachero and Dan Jeanson manage the day-to-day aspects of our grants program. So I have asked them to make this presentation to you. Let me share the screen. Oh, this one's fine.
Great. So, yeah, is everyone on Zoom? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Scott. As Scott said, I'm Dan Jeanson, the project director here at the Hudson River Valley Greenway National Heritage Area. And Beth and I wanted to make this presentation. We've done this presentation before. We gave this presentation at a Greater Hudson Heritage Network workshop a few years ago. And we wanted to give this because this brief overview for board members, new board members, current board members who need a refresher, or anyone else. This worked perfectly well. It always does. Okay, so I'm going to give a brief overview of the Greenway and NHA, and then a brief overview of the NHA grants. Then I'm going to hand it over to Beth for trail grants, the Conservancy trail grants. I'm going to come back and talk about the council and compact planning grants. And then we're both going to give you guys some tips that we usually give to grantees and applicants. Okay, so the Greenway was created by the New York State legislature in 1991 because of environmental and development pressures faced in the Hudson Valley. There was numerous study laws, and there was, because of efforts like the Clearwater and groups like them, it led to the legislation in 1981. And our main goal is to preserve, enhance, and protect the development of the Hudson Valley in a bottom-up manner. Municipalities and organizations take the leads on projects, and the Greenway assists with grants and technical assistance when possible. And I say when possible because there's a staff of 5, so we do when we can. The Greenway has 5 criteria, as we all know: regional planning, natural and cultural resource protection, economic development, public access, and in heritage and environmental education. The NHA was designated by Congress in 1996, and the Greenway was the obvious choice and chosen as the management entity for that because of the Greenway's criteria and because the geographic boundaries nearly matched what the NHA was going to be. Oops, sorry. Okay, so the Greenway area encompasses all or parts of 14 counties between New York City and Albany and Saratoga. It includes all of Albany, Columbia, Orange, Rockland, and Saratoga counties, and includes parts of Greene County that are outside of the Catskill Park, and it includes the portions of Manhattan and the Bronx that are adjacent to the Hudson River. Is all of the counties except for Saratoga, Washington, and New York City. We can go back. Just wanted to say that in 1994, the Greenway started with 10 model communities. By the year 2000, that was up to 100 counties. And by 2022, there are now 285 out of 324 eligible counties. And you can see that by the green map on there. And our goal is to fill in the rest of the white with green. And now I'm going to hand it over to Beth.
And sponsor may not be matched with other federal funds because the funds for those programs come from the federal funds. An in-kind can consist of staff time spent on the project, volunteer hours, which we follow a website for each state and the whole country. Each year it's updated. So whatever the current volunteer rate is calculated by independent sector, that's what you may apply for volunteer hours. Their professional capacity, just not charging for their time, they're donating it, then that they can use their professional rate. And then other non-monetary contributions such as materials or services that are donated. Grant writing costs, though, are not eligible for salaries. It's just that that's in kind. And grants are paid on a reimbursement basis. So once the work has been completed, or at least a portion of the work, there's a claim for payment form that must be filled out and backup provided in order to be reimbursed. And just Scott mentioned, and he may go into more of this later, but to let you know that in 2023, we just actually wrote we have an from our website. And so all the applications are available there for Greenway and National Heritage Area grants. And they will be submitted, all grant applications will be submitted on this grant platform. The company that created it is called Good Grants, but there's a link right from our page. That's what it looks like, it has our logo right there. All the information gets filled out online, it gets saved so applicants can begin an application, go back. And then once a grant is awarded, grantees will be able to submit their claims for payment, upload their final reports, photos, and request extensions or rescopes through this platform. So it's a really centralized location for all of this information that was requiring us to use a lot of different programs before. So it's much more streamlined. So evaluation and scoring. For each type that applicants can access prior to putting in a grant application. So they know exactly what types of things that the grants committee and the reviewers are going to be looking for. Applications are reviewed by staff and by the grants committee, which committee. So then we wanted to give you just some of the specifics of each of the grant programs. So let's go ahead and talk about the National Heritage Area grant.
Grants up to $7,500 to organizations for the purposes of programming, interpretation, marketing. The National Park Service and the NHA management plan, which is on our website. These grants have to resonate with at least one of the themes of the NHA, which is freedom and dignity, nature and culture, and corridor of commerce. We have different categories in this grant program. Two categories. One is marketing and promotion, and these are projects that promote heritage sites as tourism destinations through innovative marketing. These projects must demonstrate increased visitation through metrics that we outline in the goal. And they must promote heritage sites, and we like these projects that promote multiple heritage sites and partnerships. The other program, or the other category, is programming and interpretation. These are projects that educate the public about our history. We like to see projects that feature experiential programming, and we love projects that use new technology to engage new audiences. And we also like living history programs and reenactments. And the eligibility for the NHA grants. Municipalities and nonprofits are eligible for this program. The project must occur within the border of the NHA, but applicants can be outside of it. Previous applicants, as an example of this, would be something like New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, which is outside of the NHA map area, but they have projects within. They must complete previously awarded heritage development grants before applying for new funding. And this is actually true for all of our grant programs. You can only have one project open in each category or in each program. And a signed resolution from their governing board is required to be eligible for these grants. And that's true for all of our grant programs. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Beth. She's going to talk about the Conservancy trail grants.
So as you're probably aware, one of the Greenway's goals is to help create a trail system between New York City and the capital region, which is a state trail. But we also want to connect to our downtowns, our historic sites, and open spaces, and create more access to the river and other natural and cultural resources. So we're always looking to help expand upon or improve the existing trail or create new ones that make new connections. And the trail system consists of both land and water system, but the ownership and the management is still maintained locally. And the trail is to further the trail. And I did mention the water trail. And in 2001, the Hudson River Greenway Trail system was awarded $1 million to establish the Hudson River Greenway Water Trail. As many of you may know and or may not be familiar, Scott Keller was the one who spearheaded that head of water trail access points every 10 miles and campsites every 15 miles. There are currently 118 sites on the Greenway Water Trail, and it was designated a national water trail in 2012. So grants, applicants may apply for trail grants for either a land or a water trail project. We have some expanded trail grant categories that I wanted to talk about. Construction is obviously a project to construct an actual trail segment or a water trail site. Design, so feasibility studies, design plans for new trail segments. Rehabilitation and improvement, so need to be rehabilitated, maybe they need to be resurfaced, maybe they need to change course a little bit, and that includes trail amenities like benches or bathrooms and things like that. Education and interpretation is what we kind of use as an umbrella term to include anything that is going to provide signage, a kiosk, a mobile tour, a guided, self-guided tour, websites, mapping, conferences, workshops, anything that kind of falls outside of the actual physical trail work and is going to enhance the trail experience, but more as a brochure or signage or things like that. We have two new categories. One is disaster recovery and reconstruction. And that, as we know, with climate change, extreme weather events are going to become more common, and it is going to create issues for trails, particularly with water, flooding. And so we wanted to create this as a grant category that would allow for greater amounts to be awarded, which will, because in some cases you're looking at total reconstruction. It's not just a rehab or an improvement, you're actually building a new part of the trail that has been destroyed. And then trail maintenance is the newest category. And for trail segments that are on the Empire State Trail or other Hudson River Valley Greenway trails, they can apply for funds to purchase equipment, mowers, the kinds of equipment that they would need to keep the trail cleaned, maybe materials to help resurface a section. And that is something that we had not in the past awarded, but it helps to take the burden off of some of the communities that have committed to helping us keep the trail open. Again, going over some of the eligibility, it's the same as most of our grant program that must be within the Greenway area, but it's not limited to Greenway communities. Can also be awarded to nonprofits, they awarded trail grant before they can apply for new funding. They have to include a signed resolution, and for water trail grants, they must be located along the Hudson River and Champlain Canal and within the designated Greenway area. And all water trail sites or trails that are funded through this program will be required to request designation as part of the Greenway Trail system, which again is just more of in name that they are part of our system, but they will retain complete ownership and management of their trail segment. We also have been fortunate to have increased funding for the trail grant program over the last few years. And so we wanted to expand the amounts that were available to applicants to hopefully get more projects completed. So the trail grant funding categories for trail construction, you can apply for up to $250,000, which would then have to be matched with $250,000 of in-kind or cash. Trail design and planning up to $75,000, rehab and improvement up to $100,000, education and interpretation up to $25,000, disaster recovery and reconstruction, again, because you may sometimes be totally recreating a trail section, $5,000, and that is for both land trail and water trails. And now Dan is going to talk about the community planning grants.
Okay, so the community planning grants, these are grants that achieve the goals of the 5 Greenway criteria. I'm not going to read those off for you. But in recent years, this has been a pretty competitive program. So planning projects have been given priority. These are things like comprehensive planning, natural resource inventories, cultural resource inventories, economic development plans, things like that. These grants are limited to $10,000 max, although compact grants are eligible for higher amounts, and municipalities that are working together on a joint project are eligible for higher amounts as well. In 2022, there was a total of $136,000 available in this program, and we award these quarterly. Eligibility, this one is different. Nonprofits are not eligible in this program. This is only open to municipalities located within the Greenway area that have passed community resolutions adopting the Greenway criteria, and also open to those communities who have adopted their county compacts, so they're compact communities. Nonprofits, if they have a project, they'd have to apply as a co-applicant with a municipality who is a Greenway community, and the community will act as the fiscal agent of the grant. And like other programs, they have to complete any previously awarded grants in the program before getting new funding. And also a signed resolution from the town board, city council, something like that is required for this program as well. Next, Beth and I are going to share some tips that we share with grantees.
We put together a little do's and don'ts, or more recommendations and less favorable, because we know a lot of you do probably help out some of your constituents with applying for grants. So first, as far as do's, open with the project. What is it that you want to do? And be precise and concise, because the grants committee has a lot of projects to review, and they want to get a really good idea of what it is you're trying to do, and include maps, drawings, renderings. Where is this project located? How does it connect to anything else that is going on in your area? Explain, as we mentioned, there are Greenway goals and criteria. There are very specifically articulated criteria within the application guidelines, and addressing those will give the grants committee a clear idea of how your project fits into our grant programs. Getting the budget correct. We have an Excel worksheet that essentially does the math for you, but making sure that you're providing enough match. It has to be at least 50% of the project or more if that's possible. And making sure that you're clear about where the funds are coming from, the matching funds, that everything is in place for you to begin this project. And sustainability, is it just a one-time thing, or are you going to be able to keep up this project with which you will be awarded the funds? And then Dan's going to cover some of the less recommended.
Yeah, Beth got to be good cop, and I'm the bad cop. So some of the don'ts, don't open with a lengthy description of a site or an organization. We love learning about all the sites in the Valley, but if you open up a grant application, really what Beth said, you want to open with what the project is right there in the first sentence. You can, give a brief description later on, but you don't know how many grant applications we've opened up, and the first 4 paragraphs are lengthy, very full-blown history of a site. And we love to see that, but keep it brief. Don't copy and paste from another application. We can tell when we read these descriptions that it's probably a rehash from another application and probably from another program, and even another application within our organization. Don't fluff with unnecessary info. We'd like to see projects that have a long life for them. And specifically, like for the NHA sponsorship or for the NHA program, we'd like to see programs that run for a whole season or multiple seasons. We do have NHA sponsorships. So if you do have limited run events, you can apply for an NHA sponsorship, and there's info on our website for those. And same project or program in out years. Let's say you've completed a project and then the next year you apply for the same thing. It tells us that you didn't think about the sustainability of the project going forward. And I believe that's it.
Just our contact
info.
And then
there's all our contact info. And we're here for questions.
Thank you, guys. That was very good. This slideshow is going to be posted on our grants page tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. We're also going to share it with our communities at the request of council board members. I want to stress what Beth said. We give you specific scoring criteria and even the points that are awarded for it in the grant guidelines. If you address each one of those issues, we can give you the points. If you don't address it, we can guess and maybe we'll give you the points, but likely you won't get the points and you won't score as well. So following the scoring criteria is critical. Does anyone have any questions for either Beth or Dan?
Significantly more funding is beginning.
In Beth's program, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that has been available for the past few years, and
yes,
and thanks to Andy Beers and the Empire State Trail Project, getting that project off the ground and improving upon it and getting projects that will connect to it and amplify it is a priority right now for the people who are allowing us to award those funds. So it is a good time to apply with a trail project that maybe you've been waiting for an opportunity on. So, and one other thing that I wanted to stress is that Dan and I, and pretty much everybody at the Greenway is very familiar with our grant programs, and we're available to speak with, email with, have a Zoom call, whatever suits your schedule the best prior to the application deadline. So running an idea past us, asking for advice on how to make the project more competitive, we're there, and we encourage that so that we can kind of guide applicants toward a more successful project.
I've been enjoyed the benefit of being on the grants committee for a number of years, and the range of wonderful ideas that are coming forward from the communities and from organizations is just terrific. On occasion, we on the grants committee ask a question or make a suggestion, and Scott and the staff say, well, we'll take that back to the applicant, and I assume in most cases an adjustment is made or a clarification is provided, or a small change is made in the provisions of the grant that's been requested. And that just that follows up on what Beth just said. There's consultation even after the grants committee is looking at these things. this wonderful two-way street can only benefit the public, and it's commendable.
Actually, what we do with the suggestions from the grants committee is create what we call a special award condition and put them right in the grant MOU that they get. They have to sign off on it as part of their contract. Somebody will mind,
I have a little bit of a concern with one of the listings on don't do, which is not reapply, because there's only so much money that you have per year. And it may be a year that you have lots of wonderful proposals. So precluding somebody from reapplying, if I read it right, for the same project, is maybe eliminating something that shouldn't be eliminated. I can understand you don't want to go through things all the time and have people, apply for 10 years for the same proposal. But could you explore that a little bit with me?
Generally speaking, the grants committee has put a limit of we will fund the same project for 1, 2, and in some cases 3 years consecutively. But after that, you should have figured out a mechanism to put that in place. There generally are, we're generally full up to capacity on our grants. We often say no, particularly with the council grants, also with the NHA grants. So that's why that funding from us. But if it's not awarded, we provide feedback to them on what was lacking in the application, and we do encourage them to reapply if it is a project that fits in with ours. One of the projects this time that applied for a planning grant was to create a butterfly garden in a park. That's not a planning project. We're not going to encourage them to reapply for that. We would encourage them to do something different. Jane.
I'd like to say, someone who has been a recipient of the trail grants, if there are questions, yes, ask the Greenway staff. They're very, very helpful. And often a grant can be slightly changed because something changed between when you applied and when it was awarded, and you realize you have to change some of the criteria, and that they are really great. Whereas other grants that people apply for, no, this has to be this way. And the flexibility is very much appreciated.
What we allow is the staff is authorized to approve budget changes within like if somebody was originally going to plant one particular type of shrub and they found out that shrub doesn't work along that trail and they want to change the shrub or something akin to that. If it's a complete scope change, then it goes back before the grants committee for approval. And if it's completely off the rails, then the grants committee generally won't approve it. If it's gone from, we want to build a trail to, we want to put in a butterfly garden, that, for example, that wouldn't work. Diane, would you take a mic to Diane, please? Who has the mic? Andy's got it. Yeah.
Hi. I was wondering if it'd be possible to include a slide on event sponsorships. I found that a little bit confusing and I had to make phone calls to find out how it was done, a couple of years ago.
That. Good suggestion. Thank you. Andy, you also wanted to?
I think I just wanted to note, as someone who's worked with a number of state grant programs, that the Greenway's grants are extremely efficient and accessible, in contrast to some of the other state programs, frankly. Many state grant programs, there's one application deadline a year, and if you didn't meet it, you're waiting another year. Greenway has 3 to 4 grant cycles, 4 per year. So you're not waiting a whole nother year. And then having been on the recipient side of grants, just commend the Greenway that it's very, very efficient, both in its, you get an answer quickly that I get funded or not after the application deadline. And then once you get under contract quickly, and then once you actually submit it for reimbursement, the money's arriving very, very rapidly. So it is another benefit of this program, just the efficiency with which the Greenway operates the program and delivers the money.
For example, the grant you award today, the start date on the MOUs, assuming they have all of the materials we need to process a contract, will be today. And generally speaking, when we were doing Zoom meetings, Shannon would have them out the door the same day that they were approved. It'll take us a couple of days with the new system because we have to get them uploaded into the system before we're ready to notify the applicants. Because as Beth mentioned, the online grants platform, we're doing all the contracting through that too. Anything else?
Okay, we need to approve the agenda. So I wanted to note that some addenda to the agenda was sent out by email. I want to make sure everyone saw that. One was welcoming our new board member, Angela Henry, and also adding a proclamation recognizing Assemblywoman Sandra Califf. Anything else to add to the agenda? No? Okay. We are set.
I just wanted to note that Angela was appointed at 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon and came to the meeting today. So,
yeah. I also want to thank Dan and Beth. That was really terrific, and that'll be a good resource online because we, having more communication can only benefit everybody who's a grant applicant. So I'd like to move to the part of the agenda that talks about our proclamations that we're doing. And the first one will recognize Joan Davidson. And I'd like to ask Wint Aldridge to come up to speak about that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I do, however, I'd like to just say a word about our former chairman, Barney McHenry. I've been to see him in his apartment in New York 3 or 4 times now in the last year. The first time when his wife, Fanny McHenry, was still alive. I saw her too. She died last winter. Barney suffers from mobility problems, and his eyesight has failed quite seriously, so it's very hard for him to read. However, he looks great, and his continuing interest in the Hudson Valley and in the Greenway and so much of what each of us does individually and what we do corporately continues strong. I saw him most recently on his 93rd birthday, or a few days before, I guess, this autumn. I will be reporting to him probably in a few weeks about this meeting, the first one that we've had in person since he stepped down as chair. He's just a good friend to this organization, needless to say, is the one and only chair until Meg's wonderful appointment. And he knew that was coming and he applauded it vociferously. My second chore, and it's more than a chore, it's a joy, it concerns Joan Davidson. Joan was blessed with 2 truly protean parents, Alice and Jack Kaplan, and also blessed by growing up in her family in a community that was then and perhaps still is surely the most liberal and humane along it was Cornell, marriage, 4 exceptional kids, Alaska, and then a return to New York, and as its president, giving new impetus and direction to her family's profoundly influential foundation, the J.M. Kaplan Fund. I first spotted her name on a list of supporters sent out by a very small and very young group calling itself the Scenic Hudson Preservation Conference. This must have been in 1964 or thereabouts, and the battle for Storm King was underway. It was the starting gun of what has been a 60-year marathon to protect, promote, and celebrate the threatened natural and cultural resources of our beloved valley and to advance the people's well-being. Across the decades, Joan has been at the beating heart and visionary brain of this grand exercise. At different times, beyond leading or nudging the fund to do good on countless fronts, Joan has served as a memorable state commissioner of parks and historic preservation, chair of the state's Hudson Fulton quadricentennial celebration, founder and inspiring head of Furthermore, a funding vehicle that has encouraged whole shelves of splendid books and ephemera to spring into print, and creator of an honored annual award named for her mother for excellence in book design. For the past 40 years, her Midwood, her property up in Columbia County, seems to have served as general headquarters, network central, political generator, and cultural cross-pollinator for the Valley. Joan is our stalwart, our visionary for all that is good and all that is needed. In Kevin Burke's words, she is the ultimate force multiplier in our midst. For 30 years, the Hudson River Greenway Council and Conservancy have been committed to advancing as official state policy, as has Congressman Hinchy's closely affiliated National Heritage Area, as federal policy, much that Joan has been advancing in her own way during all these years. So it is fitting that next week, I wrote this last week. It is fitting that the Greenway in Congress Assembly approves unanimously, if it may, or by acclamation, ideally, the following tribute. And that is here. That's here. I saw it here. Oh, this is the sort of glitch that is not supposed to happen, but it's my doing. I should have had it with me. Certificate of Highest Merit presented to Joan K. Davidson for her lifetime of accomplishment on behalf of civic betterment, cultural enrichment, and environmental protection in the city and state of New York, and especially in her home turf of the Hudson River Valley. Her leadership at the J.M. Kaplan Fund and its associated program, Furthermore, as New York State Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, and on countless nonprofit boards and committees, always advancing the Commonwealth with imagination and perseverance, has made her a motivating and inspiring presence in our midst. And I would ask, I guess, for a vote.
We're going to do a joint one.
Okay. I am done.
Is it possible to add a comment to that?
Sure.
Having come to the Hudson Valley as a curator, I can't tell you the value of having the Furthermore Foundation grants available and really it doesn't just fund research, it greenlights research. So many small organizations have no way to disseminate knowledge, to record knowledge, and even arriving in the Hudson Valley, my bookshelf of Furthermore funded books helped me understand this place and my place in it, and where there were gaps in knowledge and scholarship. So I have to say it's one of the most important and rarest kind of funding, and it really does make an impact for generations to come. So anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. No, that's great, because I don't think as many people know about it as should. It's really just incredible work. All right, we have a second proclamation here that I'm very excited to read. And this is the proclamation commending Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff. This is for distinguished service to the board of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council. Whereas Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff was appointed to the Greenway Council on the 13th day of May 1993 and has faithfully attended the meetings and participated in the proceedings. And whereas Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff has provided the citizens of the Hudson River Valley with time, effort, and knowledge. And whereas Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff has resigned from the board of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council, therefore be it resolved, the joint boards of the Hudson River Valley Greenway do hereby pause in their deliberations to honor and commend Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff for 29.5 years of dedicated service to the communities and citizens of the Hudson River Valley Greenway, and be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be provided to Assemblywoman Sandra Galiff by the Greenway as a symbol of appreciation. We are going to frame it first, though, before we do that. Thank you so much.
Can I just add a few comments?
Yes.
I guess it was, I thought it was Maurice Hinchy that really started everything with the Greenway, if I'm right. And he had left the assembly just before I got there in 1993. And Sal Weprin, who was speaker at the time, appointed me. I probably asked to be on this board, but appointed me to be on the board. So you will find that the new assembly speaker will appoint somebody to be on this board. But I found being on the Greenway Council with so many people, you know, like Jane and Bob, but you know, that I've known around Westchester, has really been wonderful. And it's a way, besides the grants, which I think are so important, but it was a way for people to know what's going on in the Hudson Valley. And even, you know, reaching down into New York City. And it was one by one. I didn't remember that there were only 10 or 11 people, counties that were involved in the very beginning, but we just keep, you know, adding another one and by another resolution or whatever. But it was also a way to develop these bigger events that were going on, and all of the ideas that came forward from the various communities and organizations made other people think about doing a similar kind of thing. And so it really is a great way to pull everybody together that cares about the Greenway, cares about the Hudson River, cares about the environment, just cares about life, and enjoying what we have here in this wonderful, wonderful valley. So I just thank you. It's been a wonderful 29 and whatever it is years.
Well, tell your successor, expect the same.
Right.
Sandy, in my years of working with the state legislature in New York State on a lot of policy issues, you have been the advocate and the rock of this organization, you know, speaking up when others wanted to literally wipe this organization out of state law and state budget. You were there for us, and were such an effective spokesperson and advocate and cheerleader for all of our work. So it cannot be said enough how much you've been there for this community, and I want to share my personal thanks and the thanks of Scenic Hudson for that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so do I have a motion for a approval of these two proclamations? All right. Second. And okay, I'll get this right. Betsy Jackson, Sarah Olson. And is there, for all those who are in favor? Aye. All right. And any nays? No. Okay, it's approved. Thank you.
Sounds like acclamation.
Yes. Yeah, by acclamation. We'll let Joan know. All right, and the next element is to approve the minutes of the June 8th, 2022 combined meeting of Hudson Valley Greenway Communities Council and the Greenway Conservancy. And do I have a motion for that? It can be from either board. Linda and second, Jennifer. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any against it? No? All right, motion is approved. And then the next one is the approval of the minutes of October 3rd and December 8th for the meetings of the Hudson River Valley Greenway Grants Committee. And this is only for Grants Committee members to vote on this. So do I have a motion on that for those minutes? Thank you, Sarah. And second, Sarah Olson, is there another Grants Committee member besides me? Win? Win. Okay. So Win Aldridge second, and so all in favor from the Grants Committee? Aye. Thank you. And next.
Okay. I will call for a motion to approve the minutes of the December 5th, 2022 executive session of the Greenway Conservancy. This is for Conservancy members only.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. And a second. Okay, Jane, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
Great, well, thank you very much. Betsy, you get to call the Conservancy meeting to order, and then I get to read a bunch of stuff. And we get to give out some money.
Okay, I will officially call the Conservancy meeting to order.
Great. I want to start with an update on the Empire State Trail. As you all know, in May, management of the Empire State Trail day-to-day operations transferred to state parks. We are still, however, managing the funding that was appropriated to us. Some of the things that we were working on in September 2021, we asked Google Maps to include the Empire State Trail on Google Maps. I am pleased to report that that is now in place. If you go look at any trail that's part of the Empire State Trail, it will also say Empire State Trail. So the Albany Hudson Electric Trail is now co-branded or co-labeled Albany Hudson Electric Trail, Empire State Trail. Our Empire State Trail map brochure that we put out a year ago, Andy, has won a USA's American Graphic Design Award. So kudos to our designer, 2K Design. And we have results from our first year of data from our trail counters. Andy, if you want to come up and review that, I will pop open your slides.
Thank you, Scott. So, as you know, you're probably wondering, what's this guy still hanging around for, right? But I did step down as director of the Empire State Trail in May and retired from state service, but I'm still assisting the Greenway on a part-time basis on operation of the Albany Hudson Electric Trail, the 36-mile trail that we have responsibility for. Things happen out there, signs fall down, neighbors call. Fencing gets broken, whatever, and we have 6 nonprofit and local governments that help maintain the trail with us. So I'm doing that, assisting. And secondly, I'm working with Scott and Beth and Cody in particular, who's my co-conspirator on this initiative, a trail count initiative for the Empire State Trail section in the Hudson Valley from New York City to Whitehall. The trail opened, the Empire State Trail was officially announced as open in December 2020, 2 years ago. It's been terrific. People said, boy, there's a lot of people out there using the trail. How many people are using the trail? And our answer was short, which is a lot. We really had no way of answering that question. And so we initiated a program a little over a year ago to install automated infrared trail counters at various locations along the 260 miles between New York City north to Whitehall. You can see where we installed our 10 counters the first year. They went in October 2021, and just last month, Cody and I were out moving them. So we have 12 months of continuous trail data. If you're not familiar with these counters, they're small battery operated units that have an infrared, they're not a camera, it's an infrared sensor, and it's just recording people going by, but it's tabulating that on an hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis, allowing us to get inside the data and analyze it quite carefully. So we have for the first time ever annual counts for these 10 locations. Next slide, please.
That'd be me, huh? Okay. There we go.
Okay. So the numbers, and we're going to be putting out more detailed information later this winter, but in summary, for our 10 trail counters, a total of 541,950 visitors passed those locations. Now that's 10 locations in 260 miles. So obviously that's a small fraction of the total use of this tool, a long-term effort to build up that database. The use is quite variable, from a low of a little over 10,000 visitors on the Champlain Canalway Trail at Fort Anne to the highest of over 121,000 visitors on the Dutchess Rail Trail in Hopewell Junction. We also, in addition to our 10 counters, we purchased 2 counters that we donated to state parks that are now permanently installed on the walkway over the Hudson, and 9 months of data there, approaching 500,000 visitors. We'll exceed that by the time the annual total's in. The walkway is part of the Empire State Trail, but it is obviously a unique feature that it's a destination park as well. Okay, next slide, please. Here are the locations where we've been running up and down the Hudson Valley to install these in November. The last one in Vancouver Park in the Bronx, Cody and I put in on Monday. So these are the next 10 locations, and these will be replicating this, and eventually 3-4 years to miles where we have annual data. Plus we have a couple of partners. Land Trust, for example, purchased the same counter unit as ours, help them install it. So there's some other places where counts. So eventually we'll get to the point of being able to come up with a good statistical or calculation of how many people are using the whole 260-mile trails. Next slide, please. Okay, next steps. Before the counters were on the Hudson, the Albany Hudson Electric Trail that the Greenway operates in Rensselaer, Columbia counties. So we're going to be issuing in the next month or so the trail use on that trail at those 4 sites, as well as we did a fair amount of visual surveys to see how many people are walking, how many are running, how many have dogs, how many are on e-bikes or bicyclists wearing helmets, a lot of other kind of useful information on that. Parks and Trails New York, the nonprofit organization, has used the same counters and run a program along the Erie Canalway Trail with a few counters on the Champlain Canalway Trail over the years for approaching 10 years. So that part of the Empire State Trail, the east-west, has a fair amount of data. So we've started conversations with them and with the Canal Corporation, which helps pay for Parks and Trails New York's program, to see we're using the same counters, the same methodology, literally the same units. Are we going to issue the Parks and Trails New York has put out an annual Who's on the Erie Canalway Trail report. We may have just a companion Hudson Valley, or we may combine those. Those come out in the spring traditionally into a consolidated Empire State Trail report. So stay tuned for the decision on how we're presenting that data, and we'll make the numbers available to partners who want it and to the public. And again, we think that probably 3-4 years from now, we'll have enough data points to be able to give a first accurate projection of total use along the trail. I think that's my last slide.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
And what do you do that situation? These numbers keep going up. You can't the revenue potential.
We are not charging people for the trail. They already paid for it with their tax dollars, right, Sandra? All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda, approval of the AHET lawsuit stipulation of settlement. As the Conservancy board members recall with some painful detail, we were sued in 2018 by 3 adjoining landowners who had property either side of the national grid right of way where we wish to put the trail. They sued us both under Article 78 and under use, and they wanted to claim that they owned the land because they've been using it even though National Grid had a power line on it. The Article 78 seeker suit was excuse me, decided in our favor in 2020, and once that, or actually before then, wasn't it, Andy? 2019, I think. Once they once that was decided and dismissed, once that was decided and dismissed, we went ahead with construction of the trail. We had reached a stipulation of settlement, which the Conservancy board approved in executive session on December 5th and confirmed it, accepting the minutes of that executive session just earlier in this meeting. In the interim, and after I had signed the stipulation, one of the plaintiffs raised an issue they had with some of the language around their access across National Grid's property. The issue had no relation to our settlement whatsoever, but on the advice of our counsel at the I'm informed has been sent to the judge, so hopefully we don't have to do this again. Betsy, if you would like to call for a motion and second from the Conservancy board.
Yes, and I'd like conclusion. And a second, please. Okay, great. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you.
How does that feel, Andy? Nice to get that behind us. One last item of business related to the Empire State Trail. Andy was named a deputy executive officer when he was hired in 2017, giving him the ability to sign cooperative agreements, contracts, and claims for payments solely related to the Empire State Trail. With Andy's retirement in May as the director of the Empire State Trail, we should formally revoke his status as a deputy executive officer. So we're going to ask for a motion in a second on that when we get to the end of the rest of the business of the Conservancy, just to make the auditors happy in this case. Yes, yes, the Zoomers can definitely vote. They can come on and off of mute, or they can use the raise hand feature on Zoom. Next item on the agenda is a trail designation of the Heritage Trail in Orange County. The Orange County Department of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation is seeking designation of a 19.5-mile trail, 10-foot wide, running from Middletown to Harriman and with an asphalt surface. The trail winds through, according to them, and I have no reason to doubt them, a bird wildlife sanctuary, historic landmarks, murmuring streams, rolling meadows, and friendly communities. Trail users may enjoy biking, walking, rollerblading. Access points are in Harriman, Monroe, Chester, Goshen, and Middletown, all with convenient parking. Any questions on that? Excellent. Sure. As our Orange County rep, you should.
So the underway since about the mid-1990s, but currently you have double it just past 10 years. And it does wind through all these sites, including my row and train station. And also, it there's intention to continue it, but it's based on the old railroad line. So the railroad that ran from Vermont to originally Goshen in 1841, that the original section that was put in place, very historically important. City, and it is also a location where train cars.
Nice, and we like trails with Erie in the name. Moving on to our Conservancy trail grants. We have grants that were originally on the agenda for October, and those grants will start, those that you approve will start on the date that our October meeting would have occurred. The first of those is for the Calvert Bow Preservation Society, Dutchess County, in Dutchess County. They are seeking a grant funding in the amount of $12,000 for Calvert Bow and the Point Overlook National Treasures Tour. The Grants Committee recommends the full $12,000. The Village of Upper Nyack in Rockland County is seeking a grant funding in the amount of $100,000 for the Riverhook Multi-Use Connecting Trailway, and the Grants Committee recommends $100,000. The December grants, which are the ones we're approving today, will have a start date of today. The first is for the Friends of Albany Rural Cemetery, which is one of our National Heritage Area sites. And they are in Albany County, and they are seeking grant funding in the amount of $12,000 for the South Ridge Trail Phase 1. The committee recommends $12,000. The Hopewell Depot Museum in Dutchess County is seeking funding in the amount of $15,425 for a self-guided tour. The committee recommends $15,250 as they did not have enough match in their application to get the full amount that they requested. Maybe Beth mentioned something like that. Hudson Crossing Park in Saratoga County is seeking grant funding in the amount of $26,000 for Hudson Crossing Park's Trail Enhancement Project, and the committee recommends $26,000. Hudson Highlands Land Trust in Putnam County is seeking funding in the amount of $5,000 for a Canopus Creek Preserve Trail Assessment and Improvement Plan, and the committee recommends $5,000. Mohawk Preserve, Ulster County is seeking grant funding in the amount of $10,000 for the Split Rock Trail Group. The committee recommends $10,000. It's a heavily used trail that goes by a waterfall. It's a wonderful site. I'm sure Andy's familiar with it. The town of Stillwater, Saratoga County is seeking funding in the amount of $24,000 for the Bemis Heights Historic Trail. The committee recommends $24,000. The town of Wappinger, Dutchess County is seeking grant funding in the amount of $77,000 for Wappinger Greenway Trail improvements at Franny Reese Park. The committee recommends $77,000. And the town of Warwick in Orange County is seeking grant funding of $7,500 for the Mountain Lake Loop Trail. The committee recommends $7,500. And finally, the Wallkill Valley Land Trust is in Ulster County seeking funding in the amount of $10,000 for interpretive signage on public lands, and the committee recommends $10,000. So the October, we're recommending $112,000 in funding, and for December, $186,920. Betsy, we need a motion and a second on the Conservancy board members only to remove Andy as the Deputy Executive Officer, designate the trail, the Heritage Trail, and approve the October and December trail grants.
Okay, may I have a motion for all of the things that Scott just mentioned? Hey, and a second.
Kevin has his hand up.
Kevin?
And also I need to call for recusals.
Yes.
We do the vote first. Okay, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed?
And Kevin, did you wish to say something?
No, I was just using the feature to second the motion.
Thank you. Great. All right. Excellent. That concludes. Oh, yes. Did anyone need to recuse on those grants? Excellent.
Okay, I'm calling the Hudson River Valley Greenway Communities Council to order.
Well, business of the council is just to give money. The first grants will be October round grants that will again start on October 12th. The town of Claremont, Columbia County is seeking grant funding of $10,000 for a comprehensive plan update phase 2. The committee recommends $10,000. Town of Greenwich, Washington County is seeking grant funding of $15,000 for a town and village of Greenwich comprehensive plan phase 2. The committee recommends $15,000 and is pleased to see a multi-community project. Town of Hurley, Ulster County is seeking funding of $10,000 for a comprehensive plan update, and the committee recommends $10,000. The Village of Philmont, Columbia County is seeking grant funding of $10,000 for a comprehensive plan update, and the committee recommends $10,000. The rest of the grants are from December and will have a start date of today. The first is for our Community Compact Grant. Town of Lewisboro, Westchester County is seeking $20,000 for a comp plan, and the committee recommends $20,000. And the remainder of the grants are out of the community grants. Town of Malta, Saratoga County is seeking grant funding in the amount of $15,000 for the development of a multi-community Saratoga Lake Special Stormwater Protection Standards, and the committee recommends $15,000. There are 4 or 5 communities involved in this, and they all passed a resolution of support. The town of Tuxedo in Orange County is seeking grant funding in the amount of $9,000 for a Route 17 economic development study, and the committee recommends $9,000. Madam Chair.
All right, so I need to get a motion and a second from any council members to approve the grants and for the October and December. Okay. Wind? Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? And any recusals?
Right, and then you both get to call the heritage area meeting together. You don't have to do it. We
All right, Betsy and I.
We open the meeting for the Hudson Valley National Heritage.
Okay, ditto.
Okay, most of this is going to be giving grants away, so more money. The October Heritage Development grants are for the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival in Dutchess County. It says Dutchess County, even though I think they mostly operate in Putnam. Yeah, but the address they gave us was Dutchess. So they're seeking grant funding in the amount of $5,000 for the Highland Lights event series, and the committee recommends $5,000. Historic Huguenot Street in Ulster County. We have a couple of mistakes here. All right. They are seeking grant funding in the amount of $5,000 for a virtual tour development project, and the committee recommends $5,000. The December Heritage Development grants, the fund for the City of New York County is seeking funding in the amount of $7,500 for the Hudson Valley, a cultural guide. This is an update to the existing guidebook, and the committee recommends $7,500. Even though the heritage area puts out our own guidebook, it's only to our designated heritage sites, and this is a much more wide-ranging document, and therefore the committee felt it was important to fund. So those are the grants. I do have a number of recusals that I can say now. Wint Aldrich and Skip Piscatelli are recusing on the Hudson Valley Shakespeare Festival grant. Kevin Burke is recusing on the Fund for the City of New York grant, and Betsy Jackson is recusing on the Thomas Cole grant. Now, we can do a vote and then I'll finish up.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes.
For that cultural guide for the Hudson Valley, will they send us copies of that, or we have to request that separately?
We will get copies of it. We'll put that in.
Great, thank you.
In the grant contract.
Okay, so can I call for a motion and a second from any board members to approve these grants? And anyone can vote on this. Bob, Elliot, Sandra, second. Thank you. Okay, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried.
All right. I have one update to the heritage area. That's on the reauthorization bill. That's currently Senate Bill 1942 in the U.S. Senate. This would extend the funding authorization for ours and for many other national heritage areas to 2036 and raise our specific funding cap from 15 million to 17 million. And we are in the next couple of years going to bump up against the 15 million cap of funding that we are allowed. So this is important to us. The bill has cleared the Energy and Natural Resources Committee in the Senate. It has been packaged as part of a larger bill. It is awaiting have to be reintroduced in the next Congress. Currently, our funding authorization expires in September 30th, 2023. So if any of you know Senator Schumer, let him know this is important. It's been a long, yes.
We passed a support resolution that we supported.
We've already done that.
Oh, you've done it.
Yes,
Okay.
we did that. This bill's been in the works for 2 years.
Okay.
We did it previously, but yes.
Maybe resend it.
we did send it, and we've had conversations with people so that they know how important this is, and they're people who can maybe provide some small influence. It's been a tough 3 years. I want to thank everybody for coming today who have held together and are doing yeoman's work. Dan mentioned there's 5 of us. What he didn't mention is we serve a population area of 5 million. So our staff is 1 in a million. And please join me in thanking. And that's all I'm going to talk about on my executive director's report because we're bumping up on time. If you want to do business.
Yeah. Okay, does anyone have any new business who's from the board of the Conservancy?
Or the council.
Or the council, yes. Yes.
Not an official board member, just an advisory member. But if I could give a brief plug for something, and appreciate it. I just want to remind last year, and we had a banner year in funding for our shared interests last year with the passage of an Environmental Bond Act, $300 million Environmental Protection Fund, and a $250 million Parks Capital Fund, as well as additional funding for the Greenway. So it is really critical, I think, that our community have a voice and articulate interests in these programs and sustaining them, if not looking for areas where strategic increases might not be appropriate.
Thank you for bringing that up. Support. So any members of the public who have something? Nope, sorry.
Jackson Downing's legacy and welcome to our Newburgh, which was funded by last year. $5 million doesn't seem like a lot of money, but that Greenway funding had a big impact on the Newburgh community. We were able to pay tribute to biographer David Seiler, we were able to come from Harvard and Peter Del Trici, who looked over Andrew Jackson Downing's former properties and identified trees that still exist that were planted by Downing. And we were also able to put together a welcome tour, which I have a copy of to give everybody. So thank you for supporting this. It was through the Fullerton Cultural Center, and it touched a lot of different groups and areas around the city beyond, just what was being ran.
That's great. If somebody wants one, they can stop by. Great, thank you. That's terrific. Okay, anyone? Yes.
Hello again, I'm Priscilla with Greater Hudson Heritage Network, and on behalf of all the heritage organizations in the Hudson Valley, I wanted to thank both the Hudson River Valley National Heritage Area and the Greenway for their wonderful sponsorship of a program that we did in partnership with you, which is called Transformative Tools, which was done in 2021, which seems like it was 2 years ago. But when everyone went remote, we received calls from the heritage community asking, how do we take our programming online? And thanks to all the forethought and the support of the Greenway, we were able to provide training to 54 heritage online programming, exhibitions, exhibits, etc. So thank you so much for your support in 2021. And currently we are doing another program with the heritage area, which is called the ABCs of Collections Care. And throughout this whole last year, as the sites have been reopening, we are creating an online digital repository of how you can care for your collections, both on handling, cleaning, moving collections. And this year we drove almost 1,000 miles, Scott, visiting organizations, and they included, if I may say, the Putnam History Museum, Bosco Bell, Vanderbilt. We went to Locust Grove, the Historical Society of Rockland County, Lindenhurst, Montgomery Place and the Bard Archives, Mount Julian, the Dorsey Museum, Historic Huguenot Street, Statsburg State Historic Site, Historic Cherry Hill, Hudson River Museum, Historical Society of Newburgh, and the Highlands. So we wanted to thank all of you who hosted us so we could take photographs of your collections. We have a little presentation we'll give at the management committee, but thanks to the Greenway and to the Heritage Area for making this publication online repository available. It's a publication that's in design now, and hopefully it will be up at the start of the new year. So thank you all very much for all of your support of our programming, because in turn helps support all the heritage organizations in turn. So thank you so much for your support.
That's terrific. We love to hear about the impact of our grants, so it's really much appreciated. Anyone else? Jane.
I would encourage people to go out.
Please use the mic.
I'm sorry. I'd like to encourage people to go out and to walk the Empire State Trail. I know it's long distance people do it by bicycle, but my husband and I had decided we were going to walk the whole thing. All right, we have gotten, I live in Westchester County, so anything south of Westchester County was easy. North of it, we're now just shy of Kingston, and then there's a break until we get up towards the Valatia area. The Albany Electric is fantastic. And I also would like to say, I like the signs that say to stay out of private property. They are not, no trespassing, it's, this is private property, please respect the owners. I think that that's a very nice sign to have. Thank you, Andy. It's an incredible experience, and if you have an opportunity to walk some of it near where you are, do it. And people are tired, so we can go out during the week. It's busy on weekends. We've done it during the summer when it's really hot, and there are ice cream places along the way if you look carefully. But go out and experience it. It's really, really neat program that the Greenway had done for our communities in the Hudson Valley. I haven't gotten onto the over onto the Erie Canal yet. We'll eventually get there, but we still have a ways to go. Thank you.
I want to note that one of the ice cream stores in, I think, Nassau, Andy, correct, has not only right alongside the trail, but they've put a porta potty out for public use of trail users that they maintain at their expense.
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Is there anyone else? Yes, Jennifer.
Hello, I'd like to just give a little informal update on the feasibility study that the Greenway has funded for a resident-led study of a resident-focused connectivity between Cold Spring and Garrison in Putnam County. I'm, of course, thrilled to say that Bosco Bell was voted the #1 site that residents wanted to walk to or bike to, but they really wanted to make sure that the canality study has been developed with multiple routes being explored, and we are in the process of meeting with members of the public and adjacent landowners, perhaps not so deftly as Andy, but to really gather useful community feedback and help formulate a plan going forward. So it's really been a thrill to be a part of that, and it's entirely a bottom-up initiative, just as the Greenway proposes. So thank you.
Not seeing anyone want to say something about this. I don't know how widely, but Fran Dunwell talked about that at one of our meetings. This is the scenic, opening scenic views handbook that the estuary program put out. As most of you may know, Fran Dunwell has retired since we last met. And the new delegate for Commissioner Segos is Kelly Tutura, who is the Region 3 director. She was unable to be here today, but that is something that they did put out, and it's useful for any landowner who wants to open up a view shed without impacting their neighbors by showing off your house.
Well, without impacting the natural environment as well, or to a very minimal point. It's wonderfully well organized, and illustrated, and expressed. And this is always an issue, isn't it? I mean, people in the old days did clear cutting in order to establish views, and this booklet, I think, will become a Bible of sorts for people who want to do it right.
And I would like to point out that the consultant firm that did that, the team was led by a former Greenway intern. So we had a little bit of a hand in it, even if it was long ago. Our upcoming board meeting dates are March 8th, June 14th, October 11th, and December 6th for 2023. So the next meeting is March 8th, and it will be here.
Okay, well, it's been wonderful for hosting us here. And with that, I'd like to call for a motion to, okay, I got one and a second. Okay, Sarah, all in favor? Any opposed?
I'm not surprised.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zoomers.
Thank you.
I got one on this one.